So if you love fashion as much as I do, you're definitely going to want to hear from our next guest. BJ Gray is here joining us on Good Morning LaLa Land. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me,
I
guys.
love that you say it's not all black and white.
Yeah, life is not all black and white. I think the big thing about my brand is, if anyone knows that, I'm really about color. I'm really about bringing boisterous and loud color and kind of like to something that feels a little bit mundane sometimes. You know, you get the carpets, for example, we just had the Golden Globes, and those people who wore a little bit of color, they stand out a little bit more. So you appreciate those things, they make a statement, and you know, as in turns, the things that come from as a result of that is a little bit more notoriety. Like, oh, okay, we might not know who that guy is, but we see it.
It is amazing. Like, you kind of have to stand out in LA for sure. But not only that, I've really noticed, especially starting the show, I mean, Rob, for sure, has taught me a lot about just how much your whole level of integrity and people, how they view you.
Oh, for sure.
If you show up all put together in your clothes, it really makes a huge impact.
It's so often that I do so much work on the back end of designing that I'm not in a suit 24/7, but I see the difference in the way that people respond when I'm going into places and when I'm in a suit versus when I'm in some sweats and I'm going in just doing sourcing for fabrics and things of that sort. But we're programmed, you know, to respond to things a little bit differently when we see someone well dressed. We're kind of inquisitive about what do they do? What's going on in their life? They look like they got something going on. So looking the part is half the battle.
Wow. When did you discover that? Do you remember an age when you first had the realization, like, I want to put on some fresh kicks?
Honestly, on the contrary, the place that I discovered it was actually in the military. Former U.S. Army. And I don't know if you guys remember BDUs back in the day, but there used to be a thing where we used to try to make our BDUs uniforms.
What? I don't know what that is. What's that?
Okay, so a BDU uniform is your Army fatigue.
Okay.
So the old Army fatigue. We used to try to iron them so stiff that it would almost be able to stand up for itself, right? But at that point, I recognized that dressing clean and sharp, even in the military, when we all had the same uniform on, how did I stand out? How was I going to stand out when we all look exactly the same? My uniform was crisper. My lines were crisper. Everything was ironed. It was creased. It was tucked. My boots were shined perfectly. That was when the shift in my thinking started to happen, and I said, okay, wait a minute.
Right.
Even when we're all the same, I still have the ability to stand out.
I just have Rob around because he's always looking like so on point. He doesn't have to say anything. He just shows up and everyone's like, damn, this show's good.
I appreciate that. I blame my mom. I think she may have been in the Army with you because she would, I mean, even as kids, she'd iron everything and it would be pressed, like fully pressed, like no wrinkles at all in any of it. And I always really admire that about my mom. You know, to this day, she still wakes up early and gets dressed.
We love you, Mom.
Yeah, we do.
She set the standard for you.
That's right.
Look at you. You're still carrying it out.
I appreciate that. So how'd you make the transition from the military into what you're doing now?
Okay, so I actually went into banking first. So that was my actual career field. I was a career banker. I worked for all the top companies, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citibank. And I was a bank manager, and handling finances was fun, but I was actually the fashionable finance guy. And what started to happen was some of my clients became my clients, meaning that I was managing their funds and their closet.
Wow.
So slowly but surely that transition started to happen. And at the time, I traveled to Paris for my birthday. And it literally was, I don't know how you guys feel about.
That'll change everything.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel
You'll
about
never
like
see fashion again.
like a moment that you knew there was a peak. When I arrived in Paris, I knew that I belonged there.
So tell us about that moment there.
So we got off the plane, and I remember just the smell of everything being fresh there, and the fashion, and just the carelessness of how easy fashion was for everyone there. They just woke up and just exuded fashion. It was amazing. And everything that I was around just constantly spoke to me there. Like, this is home, this is where you need to be. So give you a timeline, went to Paris on my birthday, August 31st, came back, put my 2 weeks in on September 14th, and moved to Paris October 4th.
Wow.
Yes.
That's how you make a decision right there.
Wow. I remember being in Rome and having the same thing. Actually, I remember like having a day by the, Spanish Steps, whatever it's called, and just watching these women walk by, and they had these, I don't even know what it was, a couple big glasses, and just everything was so put together, and I was like, it just put a whole level of what fashion means. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole different realm over there, and I knew that I wanted to go to a place where it was the Mecca. I wanted to go and hone my skills. I didn't want to just be like a fashion guy, like I kind of have an eye. I wanted to go hone my skills. So I went over there and I did an apprenticeship.
Oh, wow.
You know, I was basically knocking on doors. My French wasn't that good, but I was knocking on doors and I found a guy who was willing to mentor me, and he spoke good English. He had worked in London on Savile Row and he was starting his own brand. So did a little bit of mentorship for me there. I learned how to do vector sketching and all of those things that were necessary for the fashion game. And I just came back home with a humble spirit, and I figured out how I was going to infiltrate fashion here. So I called people and I said, hey, I just got back to the States. I'm looking to just find a way to get my foot in anything that's fashion. And a good friend of mine, Apuje Kalu, was like, hey, come on and help me. So I came and I helped him. And when I started assisting him, I didn't necessarily know where it was going to go, but I knew that this was a network that I needed to infiltrate. So I started to meet his clients, and his clients had other friends there, and I would say, hey, you know, I'm assisting him in designing, assisting him in styling, but I design too. And some people would say, that's cool. You know, and others would say, okay, cool. So eventually, what started to happen was in styling sessions, we would have my clothing in the styling sessions. But to know, we didn't want to put any onus on the clients. It would never be any words spoken about that being my fashion or my piece. So they would end up maybe choosing the piece 2 out of 3 times. And later we would tell them, oh, by the way, I designed that. So slowly but surely, the designing and styling just took a big 180. And within about a year, Grayscale is only going on its 2nd year. And within about a year, it was just an amazing year. We had a great Cardi B year to start off. And I mean, it's been amazing since then. Yeah.
I love that.
It's so interesting. I love the authenticity that you embody. I love the focus on quality and on service. Obviously, it's like a very service mentality about the whole thing. What else would you say has attributed to your success?
I definitely agree with those things that you said, but I think authenticity. It's so important for people, and people read that. Especially being in LA, when you deal with so many celebrities, people are constantly around somebody who wants something from them, or they feel that, you know, how can I parlay this into something? And when they meet someone who is genuinely just a good person, they feel that. It's refreshing, and you can automatically feel that aura come off of someone. And I think that's something that I embody. The brand is never something that I forced on people. I know a lot of celebrities, and there's some people that maybe we've never even discussed the brand, but I can tell that they appreciate that. Because when they're ready to discuss it, they feel like they have that option to come to me on their own onus. You know, I don't want people to feel like I'm forcing something on them. And the other piece that I'll say too is just making quality pieces that speak for themselves. You know, even in this day and age when Instagram and things have the ability to appear as though they are not, you kind of get down to the nitty gritty when you're in person, right? You can't really fake the funk when you're here.
There's no filters right here.
Exactly.
So let's talk actual fashion for a minute. Like, what's hot? What's not? Where do you think that things are going?
Oh man, right now, the Golden Globes just passed, and Velvet was very hot. Some of the people that were the best dressed on the carpet, they had a great just velvet look. Stephon James had an amazing double-breasted Ralph Lauren suit that he wore. Oh my God, it looked so great. And the details, I mean, lapel pins, Louboutin shoes that helped to set it off. It was amazing. Seeing other people, Bradley Cooper had on an amazing white tuxedo, and it just hugged him like a glove.
See, that is something I've discovered the hard way, but also discovered, thankfully, through a stylist friend of mine. And she always spoke about how important the fit is. Like, you can even have a look or an outfit that is, beautiful, but if the fit is off, then the entire outfit looks off.
I think tailoring is something that is kind of a lost art, honestly. I saw it on the carpet in a couple of looks. I won't say what, but I saw it on the carpet in a couple of looks. And you saw the difference between what a suit is and what a suit could be. And it's just so much difference when the tailoring takes center stage. Because again, when you see something like Golden Globes, people are wearing just all black, right? Black tuxedos, white tuxedos. How do you stand apart? Again, just like I said with the military uniform, how do you set yourself apart from others? And that tailoring is that aspect.
I gotta say, you're killing it right now with the double-breasted right now. It fits perfectly. I was like, when you walked in, I thought, man, that's exactly the way a suit should fit.
It's gotta be like, and literally, I am a walking billboard. You know, I love when celebrities wear my suits, and it's great when they wear them, but I sell my suits.
For sure.
When I'm walking in the streets, not to toot my own horn, but even walking to the studio, it almost was a little accident right here. Somebody turned their head. I mean, you don't just see a guy walking down the street in a Sienna orange suit, you know, every day. So I get it.
Yeah.
So, but you know,
it's really good finding your own signature style also, because like Rob, really, I mean, truly, he is one of the best dressed men, and he puts it together so well with the pocket square and everything down to the jewelry, everything. It's a whole look, and he can have so many, but yet it's always the same kind of brand. You have like a kind of a brand for style. It's hard. I think it's harder as a woman to find your brand, because there's so many different, you know, there's evening wear, there's beach wear, there's this, whatever, and it's hard. Like I go through my closet, and I finally got to a place where I have kind of a certain colors, and if I'm not going to put those colors in my closet because they're not on my brand.
Right,
you know, so how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Challenging.
I believe trial and error. First of all, you know, you don't know what works for you and what doesn't work for you until you figure it out. You know, just as much as finding what you want is finding what you don't want.
That applies to every part of your life. Let me tell you.
You have to be ready for that journey, right? So
it's like dating. It's like
exactly.
You know, everything.
It's applicable across the table. So you have to be ready for that journey, and you have to be welcoming. And I think a big thing is you have to be humble, especially in areas that you're maybe not an expert in. You know, I think everyone has an area that they are very, very strong in, and if we allow others in our lives to drive that road.
Oh no, I do it all until I do nothing good. You know,
you know, it becomes tough. So if you find that friend that is able to help you differentiate color palettes and what is a little bit more for your warm skin tone and how that brings out your eye color, these things matter. But there's professionals that do that.
So can you look at somebody and be like, oh no, I know the colors for you, or is it?
I think like I said, your eye color when I was looking at that made me say that, because it makes me think about how do we pull that out?
Yeah, so
how do we
me.
accentuate
Let's
that?
do a little...
I would like some greens for you.
Greens?
Yeah.
I would never see that somebody wouldn't even.
Oh my
God. It looks good on me.
It would look good on you.
But it's
I can
funny
see with
because
some
I don't.
olives.
Because I'm always about like the taupe, the kind of soft pinks,
earth tones,
some black, earth tones. But yeah, so I stay away from all those. But then when I put it on, people go, "Oh, that looks great on you."
Yeah, I can see you killing a green power suit. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the power suit is so. I saw A Simple Favor. I don't know if you've seen the movie, and boy, Blake Lively's character just crushes it. Power suits. So power suits are huge for women right now.
So I don't know
What's
if you saw a power suit is just, well, it's tangible in the definition, but a power suit for a woman, in my opinion, is whatever makes you feel like the ish. You know, like when you're walking down the street and you're just feeling yourself, you're giving the pretty woman strut, you know,
you're like, ego, bring it on.
Exactly. Nothing, you know, like whatever the world's got, I can take it. That's a power suit. But you know, like a suit that just is very, very well fitted. It's usually a little bit color that's a little bit about power, like red is a power color, you know.
Red, I don't wear either.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be exactly that color, but a suit that just basically speaks and gets you to that area where you just feel uber confident. And you know, I think that's one thing this year I'm stepping into doing women's suiting also. And I think that's exactly. That's what I want women to feel like in my suits. I want them to feel like they embody power. They embody the strength of everything that a woman actually is able to do. I mean, a woman is literally like mother of earth, of everything.
That's
I believe that birth, oh my God. You know, so when you guys feel as powerful as you actually are, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you guys got enough. We got enough.
I
see that.
There's nothing better than some great pants that, you know, that are beautiful, that you know, can do an event and be feminine and powerful in a great
nice high-waisted pant that has a wide leg that is, oh my God.
And that brings up a good point too, because I think you know, I work with some executives, and with lots of the executives we talk a lot about executive presence, and a huge part of executive presence is allowing them to over-index in how they dress for the personality traits that they may have. So for instance, somebody who comes across very strongly, very assertively, we got to soften that, right, in terms of how they dress. So how do you I'm guessing that you do, address that with people that you meet when they're, maybe let's say they want to wear the power suit, but maybe they have a very sort of aggressive energy and you want to dial that back a little. What do you think?
It's important because as a designer, one of the toughest things for me as a designer and a former stylist is to not intermix the two. Because as I design, once I design something and I give it off, that's it. I don't really get to have reins on that. As a stylist, I would have full reins on everything that you put with that. So I don't have that rein anymore. And it's a tough transition, I won't lie, because I'm kind of like, I need to know exactly what you're going to do. But yeah, so taking a step back in the image consulting aspect, it is important that you're able to discuss with your client what it looks like for them on a holistic scale. And sometimes they may just be a little bit, like tunnel vision, and you're like, no, we need to make sure that we're looking at the crossover for this. We need to make sure that you're received just as importantly and just as sternly or softly with the people that are not necessarily your immediate peers, but those who are beneath you, those who are above you. So those colors, they come into play. Those cuts, they come into play. Like everything speaks to your aesthetic, your character that you're building, and the brand that you have.
Wow, love it. So where can people follow you, get the clothing?
Oh, well, they can find me in LA in any city that they need me in. I travel to all my clients wherever I'm at, wherever they're at. But I am located here. I'm opening up a showroom downtown Los Angeles later this month, so that'll be really cool. Thank you so much. And on social media, Grayscale IC, the IC stands for Image Consulting, and it's Gray with an A. That's the same handle across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Grayscale IC. And the website is grayscaleic.com, so you can always check out our fashion there. And you'll find us on any carpet, You'll definitely start to see our presence. We're already making a name for ourselves. I start to love when people's eyes are trained. They'll send me messages and say, hey, man, did you make this? And I'm saying, yeah, that's it. So I love that. The brand is becoming a household name, and I'm just loving to see the growth that we're doing so far.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being really a presence that knows that you can do anything. You can be in, the Army, Navy, and you can become a designer. You can do whatever you want. It is anything all possible at any point in time. All you got to do is go to Paris. Stay tuned, you guys. We'll be right back.